What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of SpeedSim. I'm E-House.
I'm Andre.
And today we have a bit of a fun discussion subject for you. So this discussion was partially prompted by some things that, we've talked about before and then some other things around. And so the subject of today's video, I haven't thought of a good title for this yet, but the subject is basically why doing competitive airsoft games with prizes and stakes is difficult. Very difficult.
I know firsthand because, as you guys know, I've run an airsoft field and store, kind of both. And when you have prizes at stake, when you're doing competitive airsoft, it tends to turn out people want to cheat more. So people are not calling hits, they're telling teammates when they're dead where other enemies are, and etc. and so on and so forth. So when there are prizes at stake, it just makes things so much harder to get everybody on the same page without cheating. Not saying that it can't be done, but it's extremely difficult. And huge props to SpeedQB for... I'm sure there's probably problems. I'm not saying there's zero, but from everything I've heard, it just they do such an amazing job. And there's no money involved. There's no prizes unless for some reason they have whatever brand that's out for the day, G&G or whatever. But for the most part, there are no prizes except for a belt at the end of the year that you can be titled or crowned top team. So aside from that, there are no prizes. You got SpeedQB Sundays, which are mostly invitationals where you just go to and practice for the entire year until the end of the year, and then you go and play for the belt to be crowned top dog.
Yeah, and then the other thing that you have with SpeedQB is then there's a reason that works out better.
Exactly.
Competitive airsoft would never work at like a milsim game.
Look at ACA. If you guys know what Association of Competitive Airsoft was back in the day, it started in like 2011, 2012, I think, and it was kind of like, it wasn't SpeedSoft, but it was very fast-paced, and they had different classes like you would see in Battlefield, Recon, Assaulter, etc., Doc, all this sorts of random classes that you had to be. Everybody had to be one different class, and you had to push a button at the end of the respawn, and it never took off because there were prizes at stake. I remember one year there was, I think, Lancer Tactical who sponsored it, and after that year, it never happened again. And I think it was partly due to the fact that there was so much cheating going on.
Well, and that's the thing, is once you have people cheating, or once you have people getting salty because of suspicions of cheating, the game falls apart, and the game stops being fun. And the whole point of airsoft is to have fun, and SpeedQB can still be fun because the officiating can prevent people being salty.
Exactly.
But officiating airsoft to the degree that's necessary to make a competitive environment work requires that you have enough staff to cover the area the game's being played on, requires staff can see everything, requires that the field be symmetrical, because imagine trying to run a competitive airsoft game at a field that's asymmetrical. Everyone would be complaining if they got screwed by what side of the field they were on. So it has to be small with enough staff, has to be symmetrical, and there can't be too many players that the refs can't watch.
Exactly.
I basically just described SpeedQB because that's the problem, is once you have a large AO with a lot of people involved, it gets very difficult to make that work. So that's the real gist of it, is making it work to a degree that has as few variables as possible. Because that's the other thing. Variables are what it comes down to a lot of times. You need to isolate things to the point that the player is the only variable that can make the difference. But at certain AOs, at certain events, at certain fields, and with certain groups of individuals and different gun rules and stuff, sometimes that's not the case. That's why SpeedQB is semi-auto only, mid-caps only, because that way they can try to at least put everyone on the same playing field.
And eliminating variables.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned.
So it's about finding a game that has as few variables outside the player, the individual player, and perhaps their team coordination as possible. And that's why competitive airsoft is so difficult. And then the cheating and it's easy to cheat in airsoft.
Very easy. It's
So
not like
easy to
paintball
cheat.
where you can just see where you got hit.
And even in
Airsoft,
paintball, there's people who
oh
wipe.
yeah,
and,
I mean, I'm not
if
saying
you
paintball
ever,
is perfect.
yeah,
but
if you ever played paintball, I mean, you know paint wipers. You dealt with that.
Yeah.
So it's really tough, and that's why speedball is the competitive form of paintball, because it's the same type of thing. Small, easily officiated, not a ton of
refs.
players, pretty symmetrical, flat fields, not a ton of variables.
Exactly.
So I guess that's really it.
Yeah. What was their point to this?
The point to this was, if you're wondering why there's not more competitive airsoft games, it's because, well, it's a very specific format that makes that work, and there's a
there's a very limited amount of people who want to delve into that many
Yep.
variables. Not your everyday field wants to deal with a lot of variables. It's hard enough to run an airsoft field. The last thing they want to do is make it harder on them.
Yep.
And I would know. That's the last thing I'd want to do, is make it harder on myself, trying to keep everybody on the same page and happy, because it's extremely difficult when it comes to competitive airsoft. Now, 3-gun or IPSC,
not a lot of variables.
Too easy to do. Like, I would say it's like the easiest thing you could do, is as long as you have good targets, you have enough people signed up for it, because if you don't have enough people, it kind of sucks.
And if you have people staffing it who know what they're doing.
Yep. And there's not that many variables, and you're only shooting targets. They can't cheat unless you have movable targets that move on their own. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but there's, like you said, there's not a lot of variables when it comes to 3-gun or IPSC. That's why you see Tech City. All those places do 3-gun, because it's easy to manage and not a lot of variables. The guys at SpeedQB, they're trying to minimize that using the speedball format to help them aid in the less variables.
But once you get to like a MilSim game or something like that, impossible. Imagine trying to officiate to the degree, a Lion Claws game, or an AO like the one for Fated Giant or Caspian Gap. So you got guys all throughout the Guardian Center. No way. No way. That's not going to happen.
Dude, no. Too big. Way too big.
Yep. So I guess that's about it.
Right. All right, guys. This has been our quick, brief video about why there's not more competitive airsoft out in the wild. We thank you very much for watching. Once again, my name is Andre.
And I'm E-House.
And thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.